The council meeting of September 25th to order at 6 p.m. Look at my nice long mic that I have. It's like...
So don't move back.
We can hear you.
So, just for everybody's information, Councilor McCoy is joining us by phone, and so I'll be asking for anyone opposed, because I won't be able to see the vote. So, and we've only asked her to voice her vote if it's opposed when I ask that. So we won't make sure that the phone speaks to us when we're asking for that. Oh, what happened there? All right, we'll have adoption of the agenda as amended. Deputy Mayor?
I move the council adopt the agenda as amended.
Any other additions or deletions? We'll call the vote then. All in favor?
Don't we have to say 8.7?
Yeah. Well, we all knew that. I already told you before the meeting. But we will add item 8.7, temporary road closure. Road ban. Temporary road ban. I didn't have it sitting. Yes, thank you. The addition is 8.7. Temporary road ban. Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And adoption of the minutes of September 12th, 2023, regular council meeting. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council move to adopt the September 12th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Are there any comments, questions on that? We'll call the vote then. All in favor? That's carried. I guess I should be asking for opposed. I hear nothing. Just give me a second. So we have September 25th, 2023 council reports. And boy, the external council reports came in full. That's admirable. All you councillors. We'll start with Deputy Mayor.
So visioning committee workshop, asset management strategy, or all of those, there's probably nothing to report because you're all aware of it. We did have one PEC meeting, but I think our chair will address that a little bit. And that's kind of what I was involved in over the last 2 weeks. It's been pretty busy. Good busy. A Didsbury showcase as well, if I didn't mention that.
You didn't.
Okay, now I need.
Thank you. Councillor Badrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Of notes from the Water Commission, some interesting things. They reported on the fact that websites, probably including ours, could be vulnerable because of the interaction from the public, kind of a thing like you have a survey and they can access it. They have an opportunity to mess around if they're talented enough to do that. So they were concerned about that. The other thing was of interest is Crossfield sells their wastewater. So it's a source of income for Crossfield, and they're selling it to, what do you call them? Fracking companies. So that's something maybe we can look into it. These things I've already spoke with Ethan about. Their insurance went up 8%. So it's interesting to see what the disparity between ours and theirs. I'm not sure if that 8% is specific to one thing. I didn't check on that, but I will be doing that shortly to find out what exactly their insurance rate went up on. Was it for liability or was it for staff? I'm not sure. But they were quite enthused. The fact they thought it would go up 10 to 15 and it went to 8, which is a good thing. Now, whether ours is beyond that or not, I don't know. And that's basically what I have for you.
Thank you. It's a sad day when we're excited that our stuff only goes up 8%, isn't it? We used to be excited it went up 0. But thanks for that. Councillor Moore.
Well, having just come from seniors housing, theirs went up 36%, but I think when you're looking at facilities and the kinds of risks that happen in that area, you know what kind of losses they've been having. I haven't checked my personal one out yet, but I think in general, insurance costs are going a lot higher. So we had a very successful Mountain View Seniors Housing Foundation golf tournament, and I think maybe, was that between council? I think it was. Just trying to, I don't have it here on my calendar. So I volunteered at that, and it was the most successful we've ever had with the most golfers. And I think the mayor will talk about how successful she was. So we've had the meetings that the deputy mayor talked about, the Showcase Didsbury, and we've had also a performance evaluation committee meeting, and we will have some items from that later on in our agenda. So I will leave that at that, and of course we're off to the Alberta Municipal Convention tomorrow.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'll start with a lot of my report is in the external reports that it was attached. The only thing I'll say about, in addition to that, about Red Deer River Municipal Users Group, is that we had a huge discussion that took the meeting 45 minutes longer than it was supposed to be, about water loss in municipalities and what municipalities are doing to mitigate that, and how that's affecting the ability of the Red Deer River to sustain drought situations. And we're in a very critical position right now with the Red Deer River, if you're aware of that. Parkland Regional Library, it's later in the agenda. What I will say is that thanks to Joy Lynn from Camorros and spearheading a huge conversation there, we will be revisiting the membership in our October meeting as to how we go about what has to be done in order to approach all of the member municipalities to have that membership changed. Right, we'll talk about the rest of it in the budget part later in the agenda for that. Waste Commission, working on capital budget and working on paying down the compactor at a faster rate than what was originally financed. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I had a MPC meeting on September 13th, and there we are introducing, it was a change of use for the old AGT building, so changing to a care facility from the municipal historic resource, and we are introducing a new dental office there. So there was a dental office there years ago, and then now we're going to have a new one back on corner of 21st and 19th Ave. And then September 18th, I had Didsbury Economic Development Committee. I don't have my notes in front of me for that. That report will come at the next meeting. And also we had a PGC committee on September 21st, and that item will be coming up at 8.7.
Thank you. I want to point out in correspondence the CAPE report. I've been at a meeting every month for the last 3 or 4 months. And I'm going to ask council too. I've been sitting on just in the recent few weeks on a branding and marketing ad hoc committee that's going to be brief. It's going to be, it'll lead into the strategic plan workshop that Cape Board is going to participate in. So I would just like, I don't charge council for it extra. It's just ad hoc, and we're working on the branding and marketing document that and initiatives, and made recommendations to the Cape Board last week. So I just want council to acknowledge my presence there, since that's our procedural bylaw expectation, and I would have it no other way. But that report is really, Cape meetings with Tracy are just really amazing. She's very busy. She's connected with 13 municipalities. She's going around talking to all the municipalities to enhance her understanding of what makes each community authentic, and gets reports back to the board. So she's really active and busy and enthusiastic, looking at that business and blue jeans in fall of 2023, and the business support network. So those meetings have been really productive, and you see a board that's very focused on good governance and good actions and activities going forward as a Cape member. So I really appreciated that. And the rest of my report, I did sit with Councillor Moore at the Mountview Cedars housing meeting. Very interesting, of course, and always they have an active CEO too, or executive director. Her title, I'm lost with her title right now. So Mountview Seniors Golf Tournament, I really do have to say that whoever didn't know, our team tied for first, and we lost in a countback. So next year. Anyway, it was a great day, and it was a great event, and holy cow, the money they raised, and the level of sponsorship was amazing, so good for them. And then Showcase was great as well. I think we did have everybody there that's sitting at this table, so well done. Good engagement. Yes, we did, didn't we? At the table. Yeah, who's good shaking your head? Because you make me nervous, because I know we did have everybody. And the rest is a report I'll report back on some stuff in October about mayor's meetings and whatnot. So that's my report. So we'll accept the reports as information, and then we'll have, if council would be so kind as to acknowledge that I'm on the branding and marketing ad hoc committee for a short period of time. So first motion to accept. Councilor Windsor?
Mayor Hunter, I'll do that. I'll move that council accept the September 25th council reports as information.
Any questions from anyone? Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Opposed? All right.
And secondly, Mayor Hunter, I will move that council acknowledge and support Mayor Hunter sitting on the branding and marketing ad hoc committee of Cape.
Any questions about that? Call the vote then. All in favor? That's carried. Opposed? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the CAO report. Thanks for that. Sorry if I was a little distracted earlier. My computer decided to shut down everything I had open. So I had to get my package back up. That's what you love about these. They just restart when they want. So the CO report for September 25th, 2023 will, as usual, go through questions if there are any. Comments? Councillor Moore and then Councillor Windsor.
Oh, I was just going to point out that Director Fox was going to give a verbal update on the lagoon, so we haven't had that yet.
Okay. Can we have questions about, just because I opened it that way, any questions about what is there, and then we'll have Craig step up. Resolution 357-23. It says it's ongoing. Is that just, I believe we signed that. And maybe that's just because it wasn't done recently. Is that fair to say, Ethan? It is completed, I believe. We did sign it. And it's probably going to get caught up, but the multi-year financial plan for the RCMP.
Oh, yes, that has been completed, yeah.
Okay.
That's, we will update that.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. A comment primarily. I wanted to thank administration for the updated financial statements from the second quarter for things that I had brought up at the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that.
And I'm just interested in, yes, I agree, thank you. Community Services Q2 report, the second quarter, it was focused on securing contractors, so I probably should know what all those are and I could have looked them up, but what are the projects that are occurring in Q3? Just because I didn't have time to look them up.
Sure. Thank you for the question. The projects that reached completion in Q3 include the replacement of the 2 HVAC units on the curling rink, the new flooring in the lobbies of both the front of the arena as well as the aquatic center, and the exterior refinishing of the Didsbury train station, as well as the rebuild of the handicap ramp that was there as well. So those all reached completion in Q3, and you'll get a report on that shortly.
Thank you. Yes, I was speaking in the future, but we are in the future right now. So thanks for that update, that these are completed. Well done. All right, any other questions before we bring Craig up, and then we can listen to his report and have questions there if anyone has. I see no hands for the active report or the written report. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you and good evening. I don't have much of a report on the lagoons to give other than to give the sort of an update on what we've been up to. Everybody knows that we've been working actively to get the treatment process back on the right track. We continued our chemical additions this summer, and we're looking to do the bathymic survey this fall, and we're going to do more of an extensive survey to get actual quantities for the remaining sludge so that we can prepare for our capital extraction next year.
What was the survey called?
It's a bathymetric. Bathymetric is actually the way it's said.
Deputy Mayor wants you to spell it.
Bathymetric.
So the reason I asked about that was because you said summer was going to be the most telling about how the chemical is working for the lagoons. And did you summarize that in there specifically about how summer was productive?
And then Councilor Windsor has a question.
Yes, and thank you, and you're absolutely correct. The reason why we dose a lot in the spring and the summer is because of the temperature of the water allows for the bacteria to actively grow very rapidly, and that's when we see the biggest reduction in sludge accumulation occur. And we're just keep in mind that we're battling sort of historical accumulation, so we're still trying to get back the capacity through that chemical addition. On the plus side, we are currently releasing from our upper lagoon, and all of the testing that we've done in order to be compliant with that release has come back all positive at the moment. So we're continuing to release with Alberta Environment's approval. So the treatment process is definitely come back. A lot of the changes that we've made, a lot of the things that we've noticed and improved in operations have definitely made a huge impact. It doesn't really negate the requirement to desludge them every once in a while, and we'll start to embark on that process once we get them down to a reasonable amount, hopefully next spring.
Thank you.
Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. So I don't remember exactly the word that Craig used when he was talking about cleaning those out, but I think he's talking about, and I would like to know, is the plan to dredge the lagoons next year? Is that what we're looking toward here? Because that's new. to me.
Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, we've been working towards being able to dredge. And so that's what the chemical addition has been doing, is to try to reduce the volume that we would see at the dredging point, which is very expensive. So what we did is preemptively try to reduce as much as practicable the volume of sludge. And so we're gonna get to the point where, of course, our community still contributes every day. So it's trying to go up in accumulation while we're trying to push it down. So there will be a sweet spot, and we're heading to it. This fall's survey will be a little more extensive than previous years. And so we'll get a really good understanding of where we sit as far as volumes of sludge to be dredged.
Any other questions? Well, thanks for that, Craig. I can never write fast enough, but thank you. Any other questions on the CAO report? Comments? Okay, I'll have a motion to accept the CAO report as information. We'll let Councillor Windsor, since you already had one.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'll move to accept the CAO report of September 25th as information.
And I apologize for that because Councillor Windsor just did have one, so you'll be next. I just looked at mine. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have bylaws and policies, Rosebud Valley campground rates and fees. I believe that went somewhere. No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
The standards went, the standards did. This came, that didn't go anywhere. This is still from last meeting. So we have, as soon as I can find my paper, a motion to grant third and final reading to the proposed monthly rate of $800. Councillor Moore?
I move that council grant third and final reading to bylaw 2023-16 Rosebud Valley campground rates and fees.
Questions or comments? Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Just to say to council that I will be voting against this because I don't think $800 is enough.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Baswick?
Just a quick one. We are going to continue with the idea to give current residents in the RV park a month's notice before the race comes in.
That's what the fee says. It'll go effective November 1st. So, this is a kind of an unusual situation, I guess, with the campground rates, and because we didn't have a meeting in August, which we will next year, and then it can come, because we wouldn't have given them a month's notice anyway as of September 12th. So I'm thinking that it would have been November 1st either way, and I'm glad it was pointed out that it's November 1st, and we can alleviate that problem by meeting in August for administration rather than September, so we aren't behind the 8 ball. Or is that a good thing to be behind the 8 ball? All right, we have a vote to accept the campground rates and fees for $800 monthly for the winter months will include November 1st to March 31st?
For this season and then October 1st going forward.
Right, March 20, okay. All right, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have the 2023-17 Didsbury Municipal Library Board. First reading for the change to the membership detail. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to grant first reading to bylaw 2023-17, establishment of Didsbury Municipal Library Board, and refer it to the Policy and Governance Committee for review and recommendation.
Okay. And maybe I'm not the only one that wants to know this, but 2 members of council? Is there a reason for that? Because we only could have 1 in the past because the alternate didn't matter. So is there rationale? And I know PGC will deal with that, but I'm interested. You can answer that?
If I understood the question correctly, the Library Board Act, well, I don't know why 2. I mean, we can't have an alternate.
No.
So no, I'm not going to answer that.
Thank you. That was, so I had to do Ethan. Is there, oh, Luana?
The Library Act sets out that you can only have up to 10 members appointed by council, 2 of which may be council members. They don't have to be. So the Act just clarifies that you can only, if you do appoint council members, you can only have 2, but you don't have to.
So this bylaw is just framing what the act allows, but it doesn't mean you have to. That's why it says not more than, it's keeping it broad so that any future council decision about this, you're free to work within those parameters, if you want to.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, thanks for clarifying. Councillor Windsor?
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'm looking at point 5.1 and 5.2 on the in red, and I'm looking at the words shall, and so depending on how this goes forward, shall means that you will, and so you'll appoint a member or a member of the public, and so then council would be, if they're not going to appoint a council member, would be responsible for finding somebody in the public to sit on behalf of council. Much like the county did with Alana last year, and so I'm wondering if it shouldn't give us more latitude and say may instead of having to dictate it.
I think the PGC will bring that back. It's a good observation, but yeah, those details for sure are likely going to be captured since we're all sitting here listening. So we have first reading for this establishment of Didsbury Municipal Library Board, revision. Call the vote, all in favor? Oh, we didn't have the motion. Sorry, yes we did, Ethan. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. All right, we have business items. Municipal Planning Commission, temporary appointment, item 8.1. Councillor Moore?
I move that council temporarily appoint Deputy Mayor Engel to the Municipal Planning Commission as the alternate for the week of September 25th to 29th, 2023.
Questions or comments?
Does he want it? Yeah.
I think you should probably point out why it's being done. I know it's there, but it's really just because everyone else is at AB Munis, and I think there's a meeting on Thursday, and we need someone to be there, so I've accepted to do that.
Thank you. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we have item 8.2, Parkland Regional Library Systems 2024 budget. Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'll move that council accept the Parkland Regional Library System proposed 2024 budget as information.
All right, any comments or questions on that?
May I? Thank you. So there's a whole bunch of things wrong with this budget. First of all, and I don't even know where to start on this because there's so much that's not great. The membership agreement that we have with Parkland Regional Library says that they will take population numbers from the Municipal Affairs website. And there are no numbers on Municipal Affairs website. And so they're taking the recommendation of the Treasury, of the Municipal Affairs website and using the Treasury branch estimates, which doesn't comply with the membership agreement at all. It's, they say, or the administration there suggests that from a legal point of view, they believe that that is following the membership agreement. And if you talk to some other legal representatives, that's not even close to following and because of that, essentially what we've got is a situation where they're receiving money from the provincial government based on 2019 numbers, which the Alberta government has announced they're going to use these numbers. And then that's the revenue that they're basing it on, and then they're going to invoice the members based on the estimate from the Treasury branch numbers. So it's two different numbers working on the same budget, and so for that reason alone, I think we should be voting against it. But there are other things in this budget, the two that just don't jive. One of the things they're trying to do, trying to implement with this budget, is a standardized COLA increment every year. And so it will be based on whatever period of time the federal government says or the provincial government says that the cost of living index is going up. They want to tie it in with that, so that if it's 5.6, then that's what they're going to increase the COLA, regardless of anything else. The other one that's a big one is that they want to have a standardized grid increase for their staff, independent of performance, just based solely on time. And I totally disagree with that as well. So there's three reasons that we shouldn't be supporting this. And finally, I'll say that when it came to voting to bring this to the membership, all members that were in attendance from Mountain View County voted against it. Everybody else voted in favor, but all 5 members from Mountain View County representatives.
The region of Mountain View County, not the entity.
Region, yes.
Yeah.
The region voted against it. So
Okay.
we're unified in our approach, and we are going to be looking at the membership agreement next, but I believe we shouldn't be supporting this budget.
Councillor Moore?
I'm in full support of everything that Councillor Windsor said. And in addition, there are a few things that I am upset about too. For one thing, the Alberta government, there was not a census in 2019, and they were totally incorrect where we were concerned, and have been incorrect ever since. The other thing is, it's clear in this report that it says that they understood that the municipalities would not be able to support anything more than a 5% increase. But if you look at their salaries, they went up 10.6%. Now, what part of that do you think that they should be allowed? Which means that in order to enrich themselves, they cut services. Because if it went up 5%, it means that they took a lion's share of that. I don't like their attitude. I don't like the way that they're running this, and I don't like the increases without good reason. So I absolutely agree with accepting it as information and working on their attitude.
Deputy Mayor?
I guess why would we only be accepting it as information? Can we not? I guess we can't vote against it. We can't do that.
Well, I was going to ask for a friendly amendment to accept status quo with 2023 budget. But I don't know if you can do that either. Something that's stronger than accepting it as information. But I agree with you. Councillor Windsor?
So, thank you, Mayor Hunter. I think we have to deal with this budget. We can't refer back to a previous budget. I was going to make a second motion here that we write a letter to Parkland executive to indicate that the reason that we're not accepting, or that we accepted it as information, is that we're not in favor of this budget at all. I think there's one other thing, and I think it's important to recognize that the administration, the executive has changed. That there has been a change of guard here just recently. And so the new president has a completely different perspective than the old president had. And when the vote for this, there was a motion made at the Parkland meeting to bring back the concept of discussing the membership agreement and making it align with the two revenue numbers. It was all the old executive that voted against that motion, and everybody else in the room voted in favor. And so there's a change of guard that is going to have an impact on where this moves forward in the future. So I would propose to make a second motion to write a letter expressing our dissatisfaction with this budget.
Just by way of process, I'd recommend, because on this kind of thing, we understand what it means to accept as information, but it can, so what I would recommend is that you don't do two separate motions on this. I'd recommend you say, accept as information, and that the mayor communicate on behalf of council our disagreement with the budget as discussed, or something like that.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I just said what he did.
Capture that, Luana? I'm sure everybody did the numbers too, but membership fees are going up $122,000. Provincial government went up $52,000. The rural library grant went up $23,000. Close to $200,000, and I think some municipalities are hard pressed to get a $200,000 increase in their budget. And they run a lot of, they run big budgets. So I'm actually, I don't even know, shocked by the numbers. Like, really. So the motion is, Luana?
To accept the Parkland Regional Library System proposed 2024 budget as information, and that Mayor Hunter, on behalf of council, send a letter expressing our decision on not approving the budget. Disagreement. Okay.
Disagreement with the 2024 proposed budget. Right. I will call the vote then. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? That's carried. We have item 8.3, Rosebud Valley Campground Winter Standards. So who's the chair of the PEC? Councillor Moore?
Yes, we were told before that the standards would be coming, and these general standards provide for the host to deal with unforeseen issues as they arise, as well as the ones that are addressed already in here. And this is the procedural administrative aspect of the campground. And so I would ask that council approve the winter camping standards as presented.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Baswick and then Councillor Windsor.
I guess my question is, I think we have a bylaw that controls the look and appearance of homes in Didsbury generally. So my question is, why would that not apply to the campgrounds without having something specific for that area? Just a question.
Does somebody want to answer that?
I could, but
Through the chair. So the community standards bylaw, that's one that you're referring to, is a bit more generalized and not so specific to the use that the campground is seeing. And so you'll see in these standards that these are very specific to how they're going to be winterized, how they're going to be storing their items, and what types of heat sources they're using. So these standards are being presented. They came through the winter camping report that was presented to council earlier this spring. And this was part of the recommendation of the host, was to implement some type of standards so that they can ensure that those that are utilizing it during the winter are doing so safely and making sure that the aesthetic looks good. So although the community standards bylaw, I think, would cover a portion of it, I think this goes a little bit deeper into winter camping specifically.
Well, I guess my concern was it's just more red tape and regulations that, in my opinion, do we need it? We have the community standards. It governs my home, your home, like anybody else's. The only difference is that they're at an RV park. That's the only difference. So I don't see the complication that we're creating here by doing that. That's just my opinion.
Thank you. Councillor Windsor had a question.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I'm assuming these units are going to be insulated, and I don't see anything here about use of non-combustible material for insulating, like it's skirting and things like that. And so I'm wondering if that's at the discretion of the host. Yeah, is that on the radar at the discretion of the host? Is that how we're dealing with that?
Yeah, I would assume that at the discretion of the host would ensure that, but I mean, there's no reason why that couldn't be added in just as a note within the skirting material section of the standards as well.
Follow up, and then Councillor Moore has something to say, I think.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. And I guess maybe part of that question has to be, is it reasonable to ask or require them to not use non-combustibles for insulating? And I'm thinking of straw bales or whatever they might use for insulating them. Is it reasonable to ask them?
It's safe, safer. Councillor Moore, you have some comments.
Just to address what Councillor Bassett was talking about, I believe that it's because some people were not prepared for how winter would affect them in their mobile home. And so the idea of make sure that they have insulation and that they have appropriate heating and that they're safe and have a carbon monoxide detector, it's really to ensure it's not something that we need to do in our own homes, although I have a carbon monoxide detector, but it is just so that people have a guidance of what they need to do to prepare their mobile home for the winter.
So, yeah, we're not recommending that they skirt. It's if they skirt. A lot of these units come with what they call belly heating. So all of their storage tanks and their undercarriage is already heated because they're designed for winter living. They put in triple pane windows. I'm not saying all of them down there have it, but it's not uncommon anymore to find RVs for the Canadian climate. They call it an Arctic package, and it usually comes with belly heating and that sort of thing. The skirting really helps. Even with that, it helps improve that efficiency. So I don't think that there's actually a recommendation that they skirt, but if they skirt, these are the materials that they're allowed to use in their skirting, so that, you know, I don't know what else they would use, but you could use metal siding. Like, skirting is more aesthetic than probably even heat loss, unless they're insulating behind that skirting.
So do you want to accept a friendly amendment about non-combustible as the committee in there? Well, you made the motion, so it would be a kind of a amendment it would have to be changed to amended if you.
In the
you'd
trailer
have to
court,
accept
you'll
that.
see a lot of wood paneling. It is combustible, although I don't know why it would catch fire underneath unless somebody set a fire
Okay,
on it.
it's your motion, so. And there's no mobile homes down there, they're RVs, right? Like, no one's moving their trailer down there, open. Councillor Bassett?
Yeah, I think we're overlooking the fact that anybody has a mobile home or a RV or trailer, they're apprised of the safety things that they have to do in order to make their home secure. That's like, you know, you telling me that I should stucco the basement of my house because that's safe for you. get out of my face. You don't need to do that. These people are aware of the situation when they buy these units. They know how to store them, they know how to deal with them, and they're not 12-year-old children, they're adults and they have common sense, and I believe that they have what it takes to do this thing properly. And to go in there and start pointing fingers, you should be doing this and you should be doing that, to me it's invasive. And that's my comment on this.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the winter camping standards as presented. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have Alberta Municipalities Committee, item 8.4. Councillor Moore.
I move that council support Councillor Williams in his application to sit on a committee with Alberta municipalities.
Okay, any comments, questions? Yes?
I would just like to speak to this on why I'm doing it. I think it's important. Mayor Hunter sat on the infrastructure committee in years past. I always think it's important to have somebody from Didsbury on one of these committees or in Alberta municipalities to advocate for small towns like us. And I'm hoping that council will support me in this initiative. And I'm hoping that Alberta municipalities will accept my application.
Thanks for that. Deputy Mayor.
Just a pretty common question, I may have glanced over it. Is there an impact on our budget with this?
No.
Or is it, and I do support you on this, so first of all, I just wondered if there was any impact on the budget.
Alberta Municipalities pays the attendance. Yeah. No.
Okay, I'll call the
Vote, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have item 8.5, Alberta Municipalities Resolutions. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to accept the 2023 Alberta Municipalities Resolutions update as information.
Okay, any comments or questions? We're getting to be a social issue driven association, apparently. Holy cow. Any other comments? Call the vote, all in favor? That's carried.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to refer to closed meeting council's consideration on the 2023 resolutions being presented at Alberta Municipalities Convention in Edmonton, September 27 to 29.
All right, any other questions? Call the vote, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And now we have item 8.6, parking requests. Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. Move to refer the parking concerns in residential areas to the Performance Evaluation Committee for review and recommendation.
Any questions or comments? I'll be interested in hearing the report back to see what our parking issues are exactly. Call a vote, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And we have item 8.7, the temporary road ban. And PDC chair and maybe the committee will follow up if there's any other thoughts.
Thank you, Mayor. The Policy and Governance Committee met on September 21st to discuss bylaw 2023-11 heavy vehicle truck route. We've heard several concerns about the notable increase in volume of heavy trucks on 23rd Street and 15th Ave. Currently, the bylaw states that we can have a heavy truck ban on these certain roads, and the biggest thing is just the impact it has on our local roads and infrastructure. So the committee is recommending to refer a temporary road ban to the Policy and Governance Committee for review and recommendation.
Any other comments to that? Councillor? Yeah. To refer it to the Governance Committee, Policy and Governance for review and recommendation. So, Councillor Moore and then Councillor Windsor.
I just want to point out, I sat on a Travis committee when I was on the AUMA, and that's what it was then. Apparently, if heavy trucks use a road within a municipality, they were supposed to have registered their route, and we should be getting income from the use of that road. I did mention 23rd Street to them as being a back route between Olds and Carstairs, and that it was being used. When the committee looks into this, perhaps they could look up, Travis is an anagram, so it's TRAVIS, all capitals, and it's a provincial entity that taxes trucks based on the permit for where they're going and pays it to the municipalities that they go through. I don't know if anything will come of it, but it might be a useful thing to look into.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. My concern, and I think the committee's concern with regard to this, what had to do with the deterioration and destruction of our infrastructure, the road, and specifically 23rd with the gravel trucks that were traveling on that road. My concern in this particular case is the delay of sending it back to the committee, and I realize that maybe there is more research that has to be done, but this is an ongoing problem and continuing problem, and the longer we delay, the more opportunity there is for, I mean, it's going to be delayed now to at least the next council meeting, October 10th. During that period of time, there could be more destruction, more use of the road in that manner, and I'm just wondering if there isn't a way that we could expedite this so that we could cease that potential destruction quicker than waiting till October 10th.
And part of the conversation is, too, that Didsbury isn't a thoroughfare for, maybe the selection of those roads does require that road ban, and there's other routes to get to where big trucks are going, and going through municipalities shouldn't be one of them. Part of that, we could amend the motion, and part of the discussion at PGC was to expedite it, to look into it quick. So would it be quicker, and Ethan could answer this, would it be quicker to have administration bring back, based on the direct discussion at PGC, bring back information that would possibly implement that road ban October 11th? Could that happen, or what's the timeline? Is that a possible timeline to look at?
Thanks for the question. And the reason we ended up pulling back a bit is because as we were looking into getting the information we needed to do this, we realized there's a bunch of question marks we had about it. We haven't had a lot of experience with road bans, and we realized there's things like the logistics of and the requirements of signage and notification, and also the dynamics of enforcement, and we just realized the more we were opening this up, and this very worthy thing to do, but we realized we just didn't feel ready to put on a ban that we weren't even sure of all the particulars of those things, which is why we're recommending it to come. So by way of how, I'm not sure exactly how long it will take us to figure all those moving parts out. We're going to be consulting with getting input from obviously operations and infrastructure. We're going to get input from bylaw enforcement. We'll probably have to check with the province as well, and just make sure we have all our ducks in a row with this. So
So you like the motion to come back to PGC, because hopefully there will be more and more information
There'll probably
come.
be moving parts that the committee will want to wrestle with exactly how they frame. There's probably going to be some options with regards to some of these things that the committee can then put their heads together and bring back with a recommendation on how they want to tackle that.
I may be wrong, but from my experience, I thought that road bans are almost exclusively in spring when the road is thawing, rather than when it's stable in fall and in summer and fall. So I'm looking forward to the information, because I don't think we have enough.
Yeah, that's good information from administration, but part of our bylaws too, we can put road bans on based on weight at any time, that we don't want heavy trucks going through 1,000 times in 2 weeks or whatever the case might be. So when we discussed it, that was all information that we reviewed, and then we'll maintain the motion then to send it to PGC, and we'll have our administrative team bring back as much information as they can to that meeting to see where we can go with this bylaw or road ban. Any other questions? So we have the recommendation to send to PGC. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Oh, opposed? It's carried. Okay, we have item 9, correspondence and information, the Cape Connector again. That I think you'll notice it's new and improved and full of great information, and Tracy's very creative and innovative, so motion to accept correspondence as information. Councillor Moore?
I move that council accept the correspondence items presented as information.
Any comments, questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we have council meeting highlights. Councillor Moore?
I would say the campground rates and fees that were all set for winter campers.
Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. I will say the CAO report.
Thank you. Councillor Williams?
I'm going to say the 2023 Alberta Municipality resolutions. There's a lot of resolutions in there that I look forward to debating with other communities.
Deputy Mayor?
The appointment of Councillor Williams to the municipalities committees, I think that'll be good.
Application.
Yeah. The appointment to applicate.
Or to applicate. Approval to applicate. Councillor Baswick?
I guess mine is the thorough report given by Councillor Windsor on the Red Deer River system.
That's too bad. Get one each.
I was going to just mention Craig's report on the...
It was in the CAO report. It's taken. It's already taken. I like exploring saving our town's infrastructure that we build for our residents and getting them to our businesses and their homes. Do you want to go around one more time? No, okay, thanks. Good. Okay, we always top it up. Luana tops it up with what she thought was the highlights, and we get sent out, so thanks for that. We have a question period, and I know someday Phil's going to have a question, but not tonight. Okay. Well, you go get those standards implemented then, and get your letters out. Oh, I guess Nicole will be sending the letters out about the rates and fees. Or maybe you won't. I don't know how you'll do that. Do they have addresses? I guess they would at post office box. Yes. Counselor Windsor.
I will move to go to closed session
At
at
Oh,
7
no.
o'clock.
It can't be.
Holy moly. that
It
was-
cannot be.
No, just wait, because we got a lot.
Just so everybody knows, there were 5 items pulled off of our agenda, so Well, I'm going to start with Deputy Mayor for the first one on the motion to approve the mayor to send letters on behalf of council on item 1.
Yes.
I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Item 2, we approve appoint an ad hoc committee attending convention to meet to discuss convention business. Councillor Baswick.
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess Councillor McCoy was next because she's sitting there. Do you want to make that motion?
Are you okay with that motion?
You bet.
Okay.
Call the vote. All in favor? That's carried. And then, can you read the one?
No.
Can you read the housing needs one, Ethan?
Yes.
And that'll be Councillor Baswick who will make this one.
To approve, adding a housing needs assessment to the scope of our MDP
At a price of $15,000.
for the estimated budget of $15,000
Not estimated.
to
For the budget of.
Which, and the one thing Amanda reminded me is just to have it identified where we're pulling that from, to be funded from the general reserves. That's where we pulled the MDP money from.
Yeah,
So it would make sense it's from the same place.
yeah.
Yep.
It does. I'd just like to know where that's sitting at. I guess I could look in my package, couldn't I?
Last one.
This one. It's in again. Okay, housing needs assessment for $15,000 from the general reserves.
I accept your decision to make that motion.
All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And to accept the strategic planning update as information will be Councillor Moore.
I heard you say it.
Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
This one as well. What was this one, sorry?
What? Yeah, that was Councillor Moore.
The strategic planning information.
Oh, right,
Is
accepted.
information.
And just to approve that the mayor attend the Economic Development National Awards on October 1st.
In PEI on October 1st,
Yes.
to accept the award.
Mm-hmm.
Could you speak PEI?
Yeah, I was just there last summer, so I'm pretty fluent. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That was Councillor Windsor. Opposed? And we'll, Councillor Williams to direct administration to organize a delegation from the Water Commission to present to council. We'll use the formal name of the Water Commission, but. Got that?
Is that Luke's?
Yeah. Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
And Mayor, to support the mayor continuing to represent council regarding the regional leasing as discussed.
Yes. I was getting to that. It was on the last on my list. That's okay. Good. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes. I think we should.
You captured that, Ethan? It's Deputy Mayor.
As we should.
It's to continue discussions regarding the regional police.
Yeah, the regional policing.
I don't even think, yeah, okay. I think policing initiatives is more what we discussed.
Okay. But it was about the regional policing that we were talking.
That we weren't gonna sign on without.
Oh, I know, oh,
So what I have here is to approve the mayor to continue to engage with regional partners in exploration of regional policing.
And policing initiatives, you can use that one.
Regional.
I would just like to end that with policing initiatives,
Initiatives?
because there's more to it than that in the big picture.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't want to give, for the motion, Mayor, if I may, I don't want to give the impression that we are in favor of moving toward a regional policing.
I think Ethan captured it right. And with just changing the last few words, read that again, just with policing initiatives.
Continue to engage with regional partners regarding regional policing initiatives.
With policing initiatives. With
Policing initiatives. No regional, we have regional in there once.
And it's just engaging, it's not, I took out exploring, it's not.
Engaging
That's positive. It's
in
just-
policing initiatives.
Yeah, engaging with regional partners regarding regional policing initiatives.
So you go, take it with regional segment.
Regarding policing initiatives. Okay.
Right.
Right, okay, sorry.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And
Accept the governance updates.
accept the governance update as information, and that's Councillor McCoy.
You okay with that?
Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And if we wait 40 seconds, we'll adjourn at 8:45. Unless you need those 45 seconds, councillors that are leaving.
We're out of here.
Okay, motion at 8:44 to adjourn.
Kurt?
Yes.
I think Councillor Baswick did that, so all in favor? There, we're adjourned, 8:44, look at that.